My mother and stepfather had a coffee business, and it was a family business, and I worked there, my sister worked there, my two brothers worked there, and at one point or another, we all worked there. It was my first job in coffee, my first real outside, real job with a paycheck kind of job. I was a dishwasher at the coffee shop, and so I chatted with people and collected dishes and washed lipstick, and that's when people were spending all day long at the coffee shop. Refills were a quarter. I was introduced to a whole variety of characters, and a lot of them were artists and intellectuals and really generally amazing people. And that was before there was really a thing called a barista or latte art and things like that. We used to make cappuccinos with really big, poofy, foamy things on top. The coffee shop I worked in was ahead of its time. It had an indoor-outdoor European flavor to it. We served salad, sandwich, soup, lunch, breakfast. We invented steamed eggs. We basically brought the Mexican-style chocolate onto the San Diego market. Mexican mocha, and that's where it really all kicked off for me, is why we still import Mexican chocolate from Guadalajara today. And the old school recipe, that the one your grandma used to make, that has the cocoa and sugar and nuts all ground together. That was probably my third job, was grinding the Mexican chocolate pucks in order to make it quick service. Personally, I was taught how to roast by my dad, and when we were roasting coffee back then, coffee was roasted to full acidity. And what that means was the acidity in the body had a nice balance to it. The coffee was roasted, so you got the body increased with the roast level being a little bit on the medium dark side, and then the acidity was still present because it wasn't so dark that you got a nice mouthfeel, a good finish. You could taste the terroir, and overall the coffee had a balance, and that was our full acidity, which we roasted, most everything with. Generally, it was a lot of hard work, but it was really very upbeat. And coffee brought people together. It became a social drink. It became a way for people to relax, but yet get uplifted and picked up at the same time. So the coffee became the means for community, for socialization, for, entertainment. I live near the beach, and we could go to the coffee shop and more or less hang out all day. It was like going to the beach. Everyone I know would, at some point during the day, come through the coffee shop. We would sip iced coffee in long glasses with sugar in the bottom, and just socialize and be hanging out outside all day. It was pretty special. There was only a few coffee shops in town, so I could hop on my Vespa and pretty much go to all coffee shops in a matter of an hour and a half and pretty much find everybody I knew at one of those shops. Things started there, things ended there, meet you at the pan, meet you there. And it was like the central go-to spot. It was the little Cheers of our time. As I got older, I had different jobs through high school in the coffee shop. I worked in the coffee roasting factory. Our family business was expanding around San Diego. We were opening up more shops and cafes. So I got to be involved in some of the building and fabrication of some of the cafes. I learned how to do some woodworking and some carpentry, some plumbing and electrical and concrete and tile, and various skills that people who were entrepreneurs just did. My stepfather was a real trades craftsman, and he just would figure it out. So we would just do it, which later on, my other job turned into being the fix-it guy. And I was the espresso machine repairman and maintenance tech and installation, and would install the machines and start teaching people how to use the espresso machines and make money with their shop. And that was part of the early introduction and why there's a Cafe Moto. As the company evolved and the wholesale Cafe Moto division got bigger and bigger, the coffee industry itself was changing. Starbucks was certainly expanding, and some of the other big corporations were expanding. And so different concepts of coffee organic coffee and fair trade coffee, and these concepts were beginning to take hold. And in 2001, my friend Dave from Coffee Importer called me and said, "Hey, we're in Nicaragua. We're looking at the coffee, and we've noticed that the coffee that's coming from the women farms is better." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "It's better. It's cleaner. It's more well sorted. It's handled more appropriately, more delicately, more selective. If we can keep that coffee separate, would you at Cafe Moto be interested in buying that coffee?" I said, "Well, Dave, that sounds like a win-win. If the coffee is going to be better, then that'll be better quality, better roasting, better consistency." He sent me a sample. We enjoyed the coffee, and we've been buying Nicaraguan Las Hermanas coffee since 2001. The relationship that we started with Fatima Ismail, the director of the Las Hermanas Cooperative, I met with Fatima and we had a discussion about, why are you doing this organic coffee? Why is it important that women are selling their coffee? Why is any of this stuff matter? And she told me that it's for the kids. We want to make it better for the kids. We want to improve the quality of life, and everything she talked about would basically translate to the next generation and making the community and the world and her city better for the kids that are coming up. And how do we make it a better place? And Nicaragua being a very agricultural country, they're dependent on agriculture. Coffee is a big number one, cocoa, corn, other products as well. But with coffee, we were able to source the coffee. Fatima delivered the coffee. We kept it separate. We have the Las Hermanas Cooperative as essentially one of the first women's cooperative ever imported into United States. Originally, the coffee we bought under the fair trade model so that we could add some minimum wage, some economic incentives, some sustainability measures, some security that would help them finance a lower rate on their loans and things to help harvest and pay for labor. So we got introduced to fair trade. It was a new concept, but it generally seemed like a good idea on how to provide some sustainability and balance within a community. So we bought all the fair trade coffee from Nicaragua we could get from Fatima. At that point, they had a percentage of the coffee was organic and fair trade. So I told Fatima, we'll buy all the organic and fair trade coffee. And then they had some coffee that was in organic transition. So we were able to buy that coffee as a fair trade product, but it was conventional. So we had to treat it differently than the organic products and sell it differently. And that started a trend of how we buy coffee and how we purchase coffee. And the people we buy from today get run through a series of kind of filters, if you will, of, is the quality there, is the value there, is the taste there, is the consistency there, and who is the people that are actually producing this coffee and where do they come from and what's going on in their town and community. Is the coffee organic? Is organic important? Well, organic means, pesticides and fertilizers are in a safer work environment. So that generally makes the people more healthy, the soil more healthy. And so if we can get the quality we need and the consistency we need without a lot of chemical additives, then we can express the terroir of the coffee through organic farming. Is this group fair trade? Are they participating in those kind of certifications where it's a democratic system, a leverage of sustainability and equity? And is there any women involved in the cooperative? Are there, opportunities for people to sell their coffee in the community? Today we have 6 different cooperatives we buy from that are women-led cooperatives, and it's been a real foundation of a lot of the coffees we buy. Women generally do as much or oftentimes more of the work at the farm level than a lot of the men, and they're producing all the work, producing the coffee. If they can't sell the coffee, then what's the point? If they're doing as much work as the men in the group, why wouldn't they get the same equitable wage and fair opportunity as anyone else? So Kim and I have 2 daughters. And so when we try to manipulate our business, what do we want to do? Well, we want to make it better for the kids and we want to make it better for the next generation coming up. And so we try to drive our business and use our business for respectful presentation of the coffee, and the coffee becomes a tool where we can participate in activities and things around the community that help promote civil liberties and gender equity and fair society in the opportunities for people of all races and creeds and colors. Today we are offering organic, fair trade, women's cooperative coffees with a dark roast or a full city roast. And as the third wave of coffee started developing and becoming more popular, we adjusted as we have and started offering coffees with a lighter roast. So the acidity is brighter and the body is lower, and the fruity, tarty, bright citrus notes of the coffee, the herbal notes of the coffee are maybe more present, and it has almost a tea-like characteristic to it. And so the industry has various words for it, but primarily we call it light roast, or third wave, or third gear, third speed, is our little spin on how to offer a lighter roast coffee. And my personal favorite coffees, I have to admit, I tend to keep two different coffees at home. I typically keep a full city roast, a single origin full city, maybe Nicaragua, Guatemala. I like to sort of surf around the globe between East Africa and Central America and Indonesia, have a coffee like that available. What do I love most about coffee is the togetherness, the community. Coffee is a really difficult beverage to get successfully into the cup. I think that the number of people that are involved, the process, the length of time to grow the coffee, it's pretty phenomenal that you can get a coffee, successfully, repeatedly, consistently, that has a nice flavor profile. It's not simple all the time. And when the coffee gets in the cup and you're able to share a coffee, the room fills up and the aromatics and the general interest peaks up of people. And then certainly physically what happens where it picks you up and cools you down, and the attributes of coffee, the benefits of coffee. But again, I think that sharing and that community that is really, I think things are much easier if you just start with a coffee or, a business negotiation or whatever. If you start with a coffee, it doesn't have the same sort of stigma or the same implications if we were to have a drink, like an alcohol drink or a bar scene, which can get a little bit diluted and muddy, murky, whereas a coffee bar or a coffee house or a cafe tends to be a little more clear. And yet the connections can be strong, which in my opinion might be a little more genuine. That's what I love most about coffee. Cafe Moto is different in the, support method. We try to be the yes coffee, that if someone has a special concept they're trying to do, we'll try to help them execute their vision. If they need to borrow some equipment for some market or fair, we'll try to supply them with some equipment. If they needed a coffee cart for something they're doing, we'll try to help them loan a coffee cart. If they need us to come do training, we'll come in and do some training. Again, it's back to the best practices. And if our customers are successful, then we will be successful. We can't create a long-term vision based on a one-time sale. We're trying to sell coffee, season in and season out. And so we'll work with our customers. If they have an idea or they'd like to make a change, we'll try to be flexible in that way and support them in the vision that they're trying to accomplish. Well, the only way we have longevity is with the quality of people. And we're fortunate to have a wonderful group of individuals that all bring their own skill set and experience to the company. They do have a desire to, be committed, be involved. Many of them are coffee professionals and have become certified or become experts in their own niche within the coffee business. The size of the company, possibly, maybe because the owners are on site every day and you could just walk up and talk to the owner and maybe there's an openness or a friendliness. So I think there's a certain ease about it. Maybe there's sometimes a little too casual, but there's a friendliness and a casualness. And as you mentioned, a lot of the customers, they come every day. And we have clients that come every day. And who are they talking to? They're not talking to me every day. They're talking to all the various people in the various roles, whether it's the, guys out on delivery, or whether a service technician that's fixing their espresso machine, or some of the phone salespeople, trainers, or they walk up to the bar and they're having an interaction. And this is the first interaction they're having at 6 o'clock in the morning is with some barista, and how does that go? And so the overall service factor of paying attention to your customer and paying attention to the guest is value. And I think we try to pay attention to each other. We welcome ideas from staff and from employees. A number of the employees, like mentioned, have been with us for many years, and we've seen them grow and have families and, expand and broaden and grow up in the business.